That's the driver's side. And that's the passenger side. Hey everyone, my name's James. I am the proud owner of a 1983 DMC DeLorean. The reason for this video is to talk about the Back to the Future sound for the passenger door. Now, a few weeks ago, I watched a great video from DeLorean Tech about how to get the Back to the Future sound for the driver's door, but I haven't figured out yet how to get it on the passenger door, and that's what this is about. Now, I'm not going to go into how to set the box up. You can watch DeLorean Tech. He has a great video on how to set the box up and get it sorted for the driver's side. I'll put the link to that video down below. Hopefully he won't mind, I'm sure he won't, but it's a great video. Watch that, and then this video will be discussing the passenger side. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so hopefully you've got to the point by watching the video from DeLorean Tech where you get to this. So by pressing this button, that's triggering the door. Now, the issue we have on the passenger side is there's only one switch. On the driver's side, there's two switches. The top or the bottom switch operates the lamps, so there's 12 volts going through that. The second switch, people normally take it off because it's the door buzzer, slightly annoying. I know some people keep it and that's their preference, but you can utilize that second switch and you use this by disconnecting it. Again, watch the DeLorean Tech, and you can use that second switch to act as the trigger. The problem we have on the driver's side, there's only one switch with 12 volts running through it. So what I need to do is I need to take this, take the batteries out, make this run off the car battery, but this won't accept 12 volts. Each battery is about 1.5 volts. So this takes about 4.5 volts. So I bought this off Amazon, which sends 12 volts in and throws 5 volts out. So it changes the voltage. I'm then gonna plug this into the car. So the way that it works is I am gonna solder on the positive and the negative on this machine, solder some wire, some cable, then connect that to the positive and the negative here of the 5 volt output, and then connect this into the car. Now, where do we connect the other end into the car? I tried a couple of times and failed a couple of times. I've got the schematic here. What we actually need to do is the red positive off this box needs to go into this purple wire here, which is the constant 12 volt. And this ground that's coming off this box needs to go into the purple and blue, which is a ground switch. So when the connection's made by the ground switch, it sends 12 volts into this, it throws 5 volts out of this, and then goes into this, which I'm wiring up by taking the batteries out. Hopefully you're following me. Okay, so out here by the car, this is the driver's side, and as you can see, there's two switches here. There's my box, my sound box. For me, the top switch enables the lamps. It's actually off at the minute because I've got the battery off in the car. This one is disconnected from the door buzzer, so it's a standalone metal plate, which I've utilized to connect those two blue wires, which, when the door opens, it makes that noise. Sorry, my lens is getting a bit foggy. I'm in Florida and the humidity is about 150%. The problem is on this side, the passenger side, there's only one switch, and this connects the 12 volt to the lamps up here. So there's not a separate plate to be able to, a standalone plate to get the two blue wires from the machine on. It's got to be wired into the 12 volts in order to make it work. So under here, I've already pre-wired that box we spoke about before. I've just stuck it to the side. That box, the 12 volt is connected to the purple wire and the positive, and the ground is connected to the purple blue, which is on the top of this on my setup. I've then got I extended the yellow and the black cables to come out, so I've got a little bit more leverage to play with. But in essence, this is the yellow cable off that 5-volt box, and this is the ground cable off that 5-volt box, which I just extended. And I've side tapped here, ready for my connection after I've done my soldering. Okay, so what I've done here is I actually disconnected these screws, lifted this up very carefully to look underneath this plate, and I could see where the positive and the negative cables were. So if I lifted this up underneath, there's a little red cable coming into this, a little black cable coming to this, which makes the connection for the batteries. So that's where I'm going to be soldering the positive wire onto this and the negative wire onto this. Once I lifted it up to look where the wires were, I put it back in, screwed it in, put the batteries back in and pressed the button just to make sure I hadn't messed anything up before I then go and connect it to the car. And it could be just the fact I've pulled a wire or something by mistake by lifting this up. So put it back together, put the batteries in, press the button, make sure it still works, then take the batteries out, and you know the positive is this side and the negative is this side. Now, what I'm going to do here is while I'm waiting for this to get hot, I'm just roughing up the edges in here, just to try and get a bit of a better connection with the solder. It's kind of difficult because it's so small, but I'm just using a little tool like this, just kind of scratching at it, just to get rid of some of this shiny stuff in there, and hopefully it just bonds a little bit easier. Okay, so I'll let this cool down a little bit, but when you're finished, you should have, you can probably hopefully see the positive soldered in, and the negative is soldered into that. What I'm going to do, just while I'm really waiting for that to cool down and fix, is put my side taps, connect to the positive and the ground. Okay, so I have this, which is now connected. I have now my side taps on here, which I'll talk about in just a second. But before I go and connect this to the car, we've got to sort this. This is the button which makes the sound go when the batteries are in. And on the driver's side, this is actually what you use. You cut this off and you use the two blue wires to make the connection to make the sound work with the batteries. With this, we don't actually need it, and we don't want this to be a button anymore. We just want this to be a continuous loop, because the trigger is going to be when the ground connects. This isn't going to be the trigger. So I'm going to cut this off and just loop these together so that it's a continuous connection. Okay, so I cut the button off, split the wires, took a little bit off, exposed the wire, and then just connected it with just one of these. It's a little bit big, so I'm hoping the connection's okay, but we'll soon figure it out. So that button now is redundant, it's taken out, and it will hopefully be the ground switch which makes the connection and makes this work. Okay, I'm going to jump in my car and see if you can see what I'm trying to do here. So apologies if it's tough to see, but as I said before, I already mounted this box here into my car, which converts the 12 volts into 5 volts, so it doesn't fry the machine. The red wire coming out of that black box is going into the 12 volt of the car, and the black wire coming out of that box is going into the purple and white wire here. It's purple and white, which is the ground switch, and then the positive and the negative is coming out of that black box, which I just extended here to give myself some more slack. So this is actually just connected to the yellow wire coming out of that box, which is the positive, and I just extended the negative here just so I've got some more slack to play with. And then with what I've just built over there, I'm going to connect side tap into this, turn the battery on, and hopefully it works. I'm not an electrician, I know nothing about any of this stuff, so please, if you're not comfortable doing this with your car, don't do it. I've been playing around with it, I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay, so I've just connected the white box through to the positive, which is coming off the little black box, the 5 volt converter, and the negative, which is again is going into the black box. This is connected together, this is on. We're going to find out real time when I turn the battery on in the car if this works. It should make a noise as soon as I turn the car power on, because the door's open, this is out, and it's all connected. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. It made a noise. Now let's see if it'll do it again. And it doesn't. Hey guys, so slight update on the passenger door Back to the Future sound effect. Sorry again, humidity are just coming into my garage in Florida. So what I've realized is it's being a bit temperamental, but the reason for that is because when the car's off, it's got 12 volts, and this sound box is running off the 12 volts. But if the other door is open and it's running those bulbs, which in the original DeLorean door bulbs, they draw a lot of voltage, so they're not ideal for a scenario like this. So with all the doors shut, this will work, and it will continue to work. There's nothing else on in the car. There's enough voltage to send it to that door. Now the issue arises where it gets a bit temperamental is when I have the driver's door open. Now that's running off the original sound box, like DeLorean text. That's not running off the 12 volt, but these lights are always on. So right now, this is drawing from the car and the car engine isn't on. So when I open this door, it works, but then these lights are also drawing power. So when you've got all the doors open like this, and then you shut this and reopen it, it probably won't work. It doesn't work, because what's happening is, and there you go, the sound effect doesn't work. So what's happening is the car is drawing all the energy for these bulbs. So there's not enough energy to then trigger the sound box. So it works. It's not ideal, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change these to LEDs, which is a good idea anyway for car shows. If you don't turn the battery off at car shows, change these for LEDs. That will pull less voltage, and that should be then leave enough voltage to trigger that every single time with both doors open anyway. What I did is I swapped out all 6 lights for LEDs, which draw about, I think, under a watt for each light. So a huge difference in the amount of power that it's drawing. That door is now open, and this now works. And it works every time, because these lights here aren't drawing nearly anywhere near the power that the old lights were drawing, and therefore the 12 volt wire has enough power to send to the box to make the Back to the Future sound. All right, I hope you've found this useful. Thanks again.